Mm-mm. Live chat isn't currently available. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, we've got a big one today, Rod. Big. I don't know why I can't see the chat though. I can see you on I can see you now. Wait, what is that? What does that crown mean? Top fan. You a top fan. Wait, can you hear me? Hello? Yeah, you can hear me, right? Massive, massive episode about to happen. Because you're a champion. You are. I've been slaving away, going through stats, everything for you guys. For you guys. Actually, I won't need to show the other screen, right? Yeah, I'll be fine. All right, I'm just going to wait. If there's more people that come in, there's more people that come in. It's a very spontaneous live stream, but, oh, maybe that's why. But I've warning, the stream's current bitrate is lower than recommended bitrate. Huh? What's going on there? What's going on there? Is everything okay with the recording? Does everything sound fine? Okay, we'll wait a couple more minutes and then I'm absolutely going to get in this because I've slaved away at stats. I'm actually a bit tired from it, to be honest with you, but it's going to be an awesome one. Can't believe you've got a crown next to you. How dare you? How dare you? What I might do? Oh, I was gonna go grab a water. Give me 1 sec. Actually, I think I have water. I'll be back in a second, and then we'll get into it. What do I know about what I love? Some water. All right. All right, let's get this. Let's get this going. All right, so we are going to be doing our first ever NRL Supercoach podcast recording. So I'm going to use the audio for this, obviously not the start and what we've been doing now. I'll chop that all up. And yeah, go for it all from there and go from there. But yeah, it'll be so weird going, welcome to the NRL Supercoach Rage Traders podcast. That feels a bit different. All right, here we go. So I did it. Okay, let's say 6 minutes. Make sure I've got everything up. All right, Rod, give it to me. Give me a countdown. Give me a 3, 2, 1. Give me a 3, 2, 1. Three, two, one. You better still be here, Rod. He's gone. He's gone. He's left me. 3, 2, 1. No 3, 2, 1. What do I know? Maybe we chuck some music on just for now. Chuck us some music on.
I wouldn't say I'm crazy. I'm just sick of it all. I justify the people with big roles making you feel small. I wouldn't say I'm lazy, just over answering calls that should have been picked up by the people who let them ring too long. Whoa. It's not about who's there. When you call, they don't show up, you seek them out. So maybe you're scared. If you fall, but your words won't make a sound.
All right, we're going to start very, very shortly, everyone. Let's say after this song, hope you're doing well.
Fuck it, I'll pick them mess up when they just break you down. Sorry, you'll be let down.
Rod, I said to you to give me a 3, 2, 1 countdown, and you disappeared. And now you've come back talking about too many FRF guns.
We meet you more than halfway. I saw he doesn't have a picture of you in his phone, but everyone you drew him is folded up and never sees the light of day anymore. It's like you never knew him. They act surprised when you win it, all the shit that you
When to
did.
dry up to
Still
keep the wife
tell you
happy.
that it's
Okay,
not
I forgive you.
enough. They grab a
I
hold
forgive
of
you.
insecurities you
All
got.
right, let's get into it. All right, so Rod, I need you to type in 3, then click enter, then 2, then click enter, then 1, then click enter, then 0, click enter, and then we start. That's what I need from you. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Rage Traders NRL Supercoach podcast. This is the first ever podcast I've done for Supercoach Fantasy. A bit of a weird timing to do it as well because, you know, we've only got about 10 rounds left. We're coming into the third Origin game, but I said to myself, look, I'm like 3,000 rank. What's going to hurt me starting early, not waiting for this season to finish? And I'm going to do it. And I've done it. and I'm doing it. So welcome on in. If you haven't seen me on YouTube before, I do mostly all my videos on YouTube at The Rage Traders. And if you did come over from YouTube, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So today we're going to be going through a multitude of things, but more importantly, a full position analysis. I've gone through, deep dived, and even found some pods that I think could work out in the remaining rounds of this NRL season. On top of that, going through the trade targets and the biggest trades of the week, and maybe even some talks around, are some viable players we have already, could they actually be trade outs? And we'll get into that. But thank you so much. Before we get into the first position, which is the hookers, if you could please give, whatever it may be, how it works, a 5-star rating, review, or if you could just tell your friends about the podcast and the YouTube channel, that would be greatly appreciated. A lot of the times I am live on YouTube as well, so if you did want to pop over anytime, just swing a subscribe through, come on through, and I'll be there. Now, to start off the hooker position, I wanted to go into players who I think actually mean something into this period with 10 rounds left. And of course, a lot of people last week went to Harry Grant. He is now $594,600 with a break even of 72. And I think he is one of maybe 3, if not the 2 hookers we want right now. And if you're thinking who the third one is, I'll tell you in a second, but you obviously should know who the second one is. But previous scores of 45, 83, and 80. They have no buys, the Melbourne Storm upcoming. We know him as the premium Uber player to get in the hooker position, but we also do know that the hooker position can be a bit fiddly, annoying, and low scoring. You can see even by the scores here, he's only just started to ramp up, 83 and an 80. So it's good to see, but we know he hasn't been playing as good as what he used to as well. The only reason I went to Harry Grant is because I couldn't go Connor Watson last week, which brings me in to the second hooker we need to speak about. $613,800, sorry. Break even of 53. His previous scores are 86, 68, and 68. So we both know that they're Origin players. The better thing for Connor Watson is he doesn't play as much minutes as Harry Grant. The also better thing, and why I think Connor Watson is the better pick, is because Roosters are in worse of a position than Melbourne. What does this mean? Well, essentially, we do know Craig Bellamy, the coach of the Melbourne Storm, will love giving rest to his star players coming towards the end of the season if they are sitting pretty, and if they're sort of guaranteed a second or third spot and can't actually make first. And that is worse for us having obviously Harry Grant there. And I think Roosters are going to be playing for a top 8 position and needing to be having their best players every game. And this is why I see more value in Connor Watson. I also think he's just everywhere on the field at times. He's just an absolute workhorse. And if we don't see the huge attacking stats like we can see from Harry Grant, I think there's more reliability in Connor Watson. 2 of the games he played were 80 minutes for those scores as well, and one was 60 minutes, which was against North Queensland. So that lower score there of 68, you can actually take that into consideration. That was against also North Queensland, Canberra, and the Bulldogs for those 3 games. So we're talking about 2 teams there that are actually well known for their defense, of 2 very good sides. So even when he does verse the tougher teams, he's actually doing very well in terms of what he's scoring. Coming into these remaining games, Connor Watson versus Melbourne twice, though, the Bulldogs once, and Sharks. I don't think this is too much of an issue, but again, I think just because he has less chance of being rested, he is an absolute bargain to be your hooker spot. And hello, Swish. Welcome on into the live. My third hooker I want to speak about, and this might be weird to some people, Talon De Silva. Now, I don't think this guy's going to be a guy that we can compare to Connor Watson or Harry Grant. I think he will be someone, if we can plug him in and he's playing 60 to 80 minutes, because I don't know the situation that's going to happen at Parramatta, he is going to be an absolutely huge play. A huge money grab at $215,600 with a break even of -5. We want to see what happens there. There was an immediate release from Tigers, and now he's off to Parramatta. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, but he should definitely be on your watch list. His best score was 60 points in 41 minutes with a base of 29, which is absolutely incredible. There was some attacking stats in there, but still, the capability for him to be able to do that is absolutely massive. And I think I wouldn't include Talon De Silva as my third pick. I really want to talk about Tom Starling now. In my opinion, if you have Tom Starling in your team, he's just a complete hold. He has the buy in 19, a buy in 24. But if you have someone that can back up Tom Starling in those buys, I don't think you have to waste a trade where trades are so valuable now in the end of the season, or coming into the last trimester, let's say, of the season, where we need to start moving the pieces. And Harry Grant isn't really showing us that we need to do it. We know Tom Starling is capable of hitting even a huge score similar to Harry Grant when he's on fire. So it's not all guns blazing, let's go to Harry Grant and Connor Watson. I think for me personally, my biggest regret this season was not getting Tom Starling when I could have. I got Connor Watson. I didn't think of Origin. That hurt me a bit. He's been absolutely huge. And then obviously we have special mentions to Cam McGuinness, Blake Brayley. They have the bye in round 25 for the Cronulla Sharks. But in saying that, if you do have them, again, I don't think they're pieces you have to move. However, I think Connor Watson, for me personally, is the go-to guy. I just couldn't get him because I had two hookers in DNP, and that just caused my move to Harry Grant. So that's the hooker overview. Very interesting, and I think one of the least interesting positions in terms of points, but just interesting in the dilemma we're in at the moment. Next is front row forwards, and I'll start by saying who I think the two must-haves are. I think we all know who they are, Terrell May and Payne Haas. I think these guys have just been absolutely consistent throughout the season, and most probably the biggest talking point after that is Tino Masualai. I think that's how you pronounce it, for the Gold Coast Titans. And at the moment, do we sell? So he has $573,500 price tag on his head, a 98 break even, but he does have the dual FRF 2RF. And we know what he's capable of. He is traded out quite a bit this week. Recent scores are 57-38 in 37 minutes, bar you that 38, so that's still very good. 51 and 57. Did get news of a sternum injury. He's also in the Origin team, so he could likely be rested in 19, especially with having that injury. And I can see no reason in saying to someone, I think you're making the wrong decision if you are selling him, because I personally have him sold at the moment. I am a bit scared that if I do sell him, they do have a nice draw, the Gold Coast Titans. It's not too bad. Is it going to bite me? Now, the only thing I would say to someone is, if they are trading him, who's your backup in your 2RF and your FRF? For me, I have Aaron Clark. I have Colo. I have Preston and Kikau at the moment. I have a lot of things I can do for backup of Tino. But if you're someone who's gone CTW, fullback heavy, I think that's where you have to be careful, and he's a hold. He's very low on his price. $573,000 is super, super low. And I think we have to take that into consideration. Is it a wasted trade? We know his capability. We know what he can do. I think his base speaks for himself. Basically, looking at his numbers, his base matches his minutes, which is absolutely amazing. And that's exactly what you want to see. And I'm just going to have a sip of water. I think the biggest talks around FRF is, who do you move if you do have to move one? And I would say it's either Aaron Clark or Adam Fanua-Blake. I think out of those two, it's definitely Adam Fanua-Blake. However, AFB is playing in the upcoming bye round, which is huge for 19, which I absolutely love because that's going to be a very tough round. And Aaron Clark, I only put him into the equation is because of the injuries, especially to like what they're going to do on attack with Metcalf gone. TMM coming in is absolutely huge because I think he's a gun player. But I'm really curious to see if his points gets affected by that. And Colo is Colo, an absolutely huge jewel. He gets there, gets the FRF and the 2RF. So yeah, that's huge in saying that. But again, for me, if we put it at must-haves in the FRF category, Terrell May, Payne Haas. Now, bringing up someone that you may not think of if I read you these numbers. Jewel 2RF FRF, base of his last games, 66, 57, 56, 60, and 59, owned by 4% of the competition. Now, those numbers I read out were base, not total points. His name is Jack Williams. He's seeing increased minutes. His recent scores are 74, 66, 60, 80, 96, and 62. That is absolutely huge. Now, we know he plays for the Parramatta Eels. They have no more buys left. The only thing I get a bit worried with him is basically their draw coming up. They come into Penrith Panthers, Canberra, Broncos, then Melbourne. So that is not the easiest, but with a base like that, it's very, very impressive. They then go on to verse the Cowboys, Souths, Roosters, Warriors, then Newcastle. So the run home is actually very, very nice. I think he's an awesome pod. The thing is, are we trying to pod in a 2RF, FRF category where we really know who the premiums are and who the best is? There's so much opportunity in that category of those positions. I just think that's the only thing. And how much value is he really going to give you there? That's my only concern. But I think out of all these players, again, as I've said, Aaron Clark, AFB, you can sell AFB or one of these. You can move Lucas up if he's in your CT dub. You can then move one of them up to FRF, get a 2RF in or a center in. There's a lot of things you can do with this dual position, especially in FRF and 2RF. So that is your front row forwards. I do apologize also because I have a cold and I've had a cough, and I'm not trying to emulate Tim Williams of FC Playbooks, but I'm so close to coughing that it just feels like I've got this massive tingle in my throat, hence why I'm having so much water. But I can edit that out, I think, for the podcast as well if needed. It's for Ketty a cheeky play for a couple of weeks. Possibly. I just think that there's so much we can do already in the FRF and 2RF that I think we already know who the guys we need are, and that really the pods that we're going to make, yes, Jack Williams could be one of them, but it's more likely going to be in the CTW fullback position. And you might go fullback position. I got something for you. So yeah. All right, second row forwards. Even here, we might have some pods, but we've already talked about Tino, Jack Williams, Aaron Clark, Colo, all have 2RF position and FRF position. I think the must-have position, the must-have players, for 2RFs, there's three of them, and that would be, for me, Hudson Young, Kolongatangi, and Eli Katoa. I think these three guys, they must be in your team. They're absolutely huge. They can all pull off 100+ scores, and just they've done absolutely a huge amount of work already, especially with Eli Katoa not having any buys. That's going to be absolutely huge. But I did want to talk about 2RF that I think could be a sell. And it was so funny because I mentioned this in the wrap-up that I did, and then all of a sudden now I've seen him be one of the biggest traded out players, Dylan Lucas. I can't believe it. I mentioned it, and then now, I'm not saying I made people do this, but people have come to the conclusion it's not worth it. Pardon me. $674,500, a break even of 100. The toughest games coming up until end of season. He has Melbourne, Canberra, Broncos, Melbourne, and Sharks. Has the round 22 bye. Can we trade him out? His last game, he had a 53 in base for 59 points. That means he got 6 points extra on top of his base. If there's no attacking upside for the Knights now with Ponga gone and with Fletcher Sharp out for the season, how much can we expect from Lucas? Now, I think he is a round 19 watch. If you want to go on him early, I completely understand. I think he could also even possibly be a round 19 trade out. But if you are trading him out now, he's got the blue dot against him. I get it. I think we can wait one more week because there might be a chance that he actually gets a lot more ball in terms of they're just going to go, okay, what are we going to do here? We just go left side. Let's go to Lucas. Let's see what he can do. He's dominated before. So that's going to be an interesting watch. But I'll be super surprised if I can see Dylan Lucas constantly go over 60, 65 with the outs that the Knights have and the way that they've performed this season. And unfortunate for them because they started performing well in the last 2 to 3 games and then they've been hit with some major injuries. So that's going to be a very, very interesting watch there. And I think I'm all for it. I think it's a nice play where you can go Lucas to a pod. You can even go Lucas from 2RF to a 2RF pod or a CTW pod. There's a lot of things you can do there. The next person I'll speak about is Briton Nikora, $652,800 with a break even of 66. Has the round 25 bye, but has the ceiling to go over 100. He's already displayed that. They have the Dolphins, Roosters, South, and Newcastle, and have Bulldogs in the last round as well. So this upcoming run for the Sharks is absolutely huge. And I think Nikora could have a big few games. The thing is, the way that Sharks have been playing lately is the only thing that's scaring me. They've just been on a down slope. They've been performing very average, very subpar. And I don't know how much this is going to affect him. But I see in these games, which I think will all be very high-scoring games, he's going to have a field day. And when they get the attacking stats, when they're in the opposition 20, this is when he thrives the most. So I think he's a little, I wouldn't say he's a pod play, but I can understand why people would go to Briton Nikora. Next one I will speak about, this is a big one because I actually thought he would have been owned by way more than 16%, to be honest with you, but that's Beau Fermor. I think maybe this is because of the Origin and him not playing in Origin and stuff like that. Pardon me. 597,500 with the break even of 48. Owned by 16% of the competition, comes into the Broncos, Tigers, Warriors, Penrith, South, and we know what he can do. So this guy is an absolute weapon. The Titans obviously haven't been performing that great this season, but I think with also the duel of 2RF and CT Dub, it is absolutely huge. And I think I owned him last season. I had him all season, and he just does what he does. And sometimes he can snag 100. It's really, really interesting when he just goes out and dominates a game and does what he does. He's a really cool player to watch. He's a grinder. He's just tough. And I think because a lot of people went off him because of what happened, that's why look, he's not a pod because it's not over 10, he's not under 10%, but I still think 16% is quite low, and he could be someone that we could possibly go to in the upcoming rounds as well. The one thing I wanted to talk about is Olakau'atu as well. He's supposed to be due back in 20 to 21, round 20 to 21, which is against Melbourne, then Bulldogs. I think if that's the case, we wait. If he's due back, maybe the break even comes low. Maybe he doesn't perform as well against two very tough teams, and then we can grab him at a really, really nice price for the run home. I think that's a really little, like a sneaky play we could do. Just looking quickly, so he goes Melbourne away into Bulldogs away, into Roosters, into Canberra. But then from 24 to 27, he goes West Tigers, Dolphins, St. George, New Zealand. So that's a little play we could look at there. for Olakau'atu in those last 4 rounds. He could be super, super cheap. I think the biggest talk here is most probably going to be about Preston versus Kikau. A lot of trade-ins for Preston this week, and can you have both is what I've actually put here. I think there's a world where you could even have both of these guys. You know why? Because currently they're my 2 trades. Now, I'm not going to lie, I am a bit scared about it, but I really am excited for this run for the Bulldogs. On top of that, Burton is still playing in this team because he wasn't picked for the 3rd Origin game, which means he won't be rested next week. And he's the core of their team. He does a lot for that team. But this run is absurd. Look, they do come into Broncos, but Broncos can leak a lot of points. Then they have North Queensland, St. George, Manly, West Tigers, New Zealand, Sydney Roosters. Then they have Melbourne, Penrith, and Sharks. And I think around that round 25, when they come into Melbourne, Penrith, Sharks, first of all, there could be restings here. We don't know. But if there's not, there could be a play where you move one of them. And I think Kikau and Preston will serve you well in this period. But I honestly think it doesn't have to be who do you pick out of them. I'm actually not opposed. If you said to me, I went both Preston and Kikau, I would be like, man, go for it. Be aggressive. And we know the Bulldogs have a huge, or they're a premiership contending team this season. Why not back that in? And that's where I went. By the way, hello, Mark, and hello, Swish. Welcome on in. Next, we're going to go and talk about the halves. Now, if there's anyone that in the live chat that you guys want to talk about at the end of the video, we can bring them up. Like I see a question about Payne Haas there and stuff like that. We'll do that at the end of the video, but we'll talk about the halves now. We'll get this positional analysis done and then go from there. So I think it's pretty clear that the 3 major halves we need to talk about, and this is very simple, is Jerome Hughes, Cleary, and Hines. Now, out of all these ones, I just think at one point we're going to have to get Cleary back in, and I don't think it's a play where you can go Jerome Hughes, Cleary, and have one of them in the flex. I just think you want to have 3 fullbacks in the flex for the run home, and that's really what it was meant to be from the start of this season. Cleary has Melbourne and the Bulldogs in round 24 and 25. There's some tough games. However, this week Hines has been traded out a lot, and I think a lot of people have gone to Hughes from him, and it's kind of scary because Hines has a very, very good dream run home for the Sharks. It's actually insane. He could pop off some serious, serious points here. And at the moment, I think a lot of people will have Nicholas Hines and Jerome Hughes in their team. And that's where you're going to be at until you trade out one of them for Cleary. But if I read you the Sharks draw, so they have Dolphins in 19, then they have Roosters, South, North Queensland, St. George, Gold Coast, into a bye in 25, then into Newcastle and Bulldogs last round. And that's obviously the same for Britton Nickora because he plays for the same team. This is an absurd run. This is really nice. I could see them putting at least kind of like close to 200 points in total over this period. Whether they win or lose is a different story, but I just think they're going to absolutely have a great period of scoring here. And they're on a downslope where they need to turn around and make a run for the season. They're coming 10th on the NRL ladder, and they need to turn around right now and make a run. And this could be the period where they absolutely fly. Now, if it isn't, well, obviously that sucks. But if it is, the likes of Hines, Britton Nickora, even your Cam McGuinnesses, your Blake Brayley, your AFBs, they're going to be absolutely huge and redeem off this run. So that's why I think AFB is a bit of a hold. Britton Nickora is obviously a hold, and this run is going to be really good for them. I think a special mention also has to go to Isaiah Katoa. And if you have him, do you hold? I looked into this briefly. I think you move him in the bye in round 21. I think he's an absolute hold until then. He's proving himself at the moment, and he's being super coach relevant, which is absolutely huge. If you did pick him up, good on you, because that's a ballsy play, and I think you deserve absolute props for that. And I don't think there's going to be anything bad from holding him just a couple more times. So at the moment, they come into the Sharks away, but then they have North Queensland at home, and then round 21, they have the bye. Now, even if you did want to hold through that, 22, they have New Zealand, then they have the Roosters, Broncos, Manly, Gold Coast, Canberra. But I think around that 22 part, round 22, that's when you want to go for Cleary. That's when you could do the swap. I think it's absolutely huge if you do that, and I think it's a great, great play. Because after that, Cleary will obviously finish his origin duties. He might have rested in 19, let him sink in. Or if you did want to just move to Cleary earlier, Katoa has a 45 break even. You think he'll be clearing that. Maybe you just move him in one round to Cleary and then go from there and play sort of a bit of a money game. So that's something else you could do as well. The position no one likes to talk about, 5'8". Now, there are 5'8". There are some wild things happening in this position at the moment. The biggest one is KO Weeks, $466,400, break even of 9. I'm going to just give you a bit of a wild stat for him. Personally, if you're going for it, it's an absolutely huge gamble. I think if it pays off, good on you. I'm not sure how much it's going to pay off. The reason is he's so high and so low, there's really no in between sometimes. And the stat that I got up and sort of worked out myself is it was in 8 of the 16 games, he has scored under 40 points. Now, out of those 40 points, right? So that's huge. That means 50% of his games, he scores under 40. The 2 lowest scores he had of those were 21 and 24 from memory. That is insane. You do not want to see that next to your 5'8" after 80 minutes of gameplay. Now, to be fair, he has had games where he goes 106, 101. That is great. But I think in the crunch time of coming into the end of the season where we need points, you're really just looking at having either Jaden Campbell and Cameron Munster together or just having one of them. And I think if you do that, your play is just to have Munster and someone else on the side. Melbourne have no buys. Cam Munster gets you, the 45 to 65 he gets. Maybe he gets more. And then Bob's your uncle. You're not worrying and investing into a second 5'8" position that has a 500 or 600K price tag, because I guarantee you your reserves are going to go to your 2RFs, your FRFs, and your CTWs, and obviously your fullback. You don't want to invest into that heavy R on the 5'8" second position. I think you just want one of them. And for me at the moment, speaking about my team, I have Jaden Campbell and Galvin, which is feeling like a mess at the moment, but I'm hoping in 1 to 2 weeks' time or just next week, I can just keep playing Campbell and just have what's his name? Galvin, sorry, when Gold Coast have a bye or things happen, and hopefully I don't have to trade there, but I don't want to have to invest any more trades. And I feel like this season, it's getting to a point where it kind of feels like the hooker position where you don't want to keep chopping and changing in 5'8". I mean, we had people go to King Togia. We had people go to Ethan Strange. We had people go chop and change a lot. And it's becoming a bit of a 5'8" roulette. And you know what? The people that held Metcalf, they reaped the rewards so well. And unfortunately, he got injured. Now you might be looking at a trade to do. What's the play to make? I don't think it's KO Weeks, but if you have to do it, good luck on your gamble. I think it's actually Ezra Mam. If that's the gamble you want to take, I think you play it in a team that he sort of can be, how can I say this? He can be an instigator of a play and just be a huge playmaker for that team out of nowhere. We've seen what he's done in a grand final. We've seen what he's capable of recently. I think you are better off investing into him at $537,300, a break even of 47. The last 2 games against New Zealand Sharks, he had a 70 points and then a 64-point game, obviously in 80 minutes. The base 26 and 24, you'll live with that. And we know he has the attacking upside. The problem with that is Broncos now come into Bulldogs, which is likely to be a high defensive game for them. They come into then Gold Coast, and then they come into a round 20 bye. But on the run home, Parramatta, Souths, Melbourne, Dolphins, Newcastle, North Queensland than Melbourne. So they have Melbourne twice, but around that, it's looking very, very nice. So if you did want to go there, I think that is your play. I think that's the way you go, in my opinion. Again, my opinion. But that's your 5/8 dilemma. Very, very interesting here, what you do here. I think I just want to hold Campbell and play him and see what happens from there. Now, we'll go to the center wing position. I don't think this position is as crazy. Like, I feel like we make this position as hard as possible. But I think coming into the end of this season, we just have 5 center wings that we want in no specific order. In no specific order, I have Kiraz, Lomax, Holmes, Herbie, and Garrick. Now, if I had to have a specific order, I'd most probably go Kiraz, Herbie, Lomax, Garrick, Holmes. Jeez, it feels weird putting Holmes at the bottom, but now with the injuries that St. George have, I don't know how good because they've just taken major injuries to their forward pack. Is that going to hit them hard? Holmes had a great game last week, but that's a really tough top 5 to make. But yeah, I think these are the 5 we're wanting. And the reason I wanted to talk about who the top 5 are is because a big trade this week is Marky Mark. Is he a viable trade in 633,700, a break even of 29, no buys on the way. His next 4 are Tigers, Drags, Sharks, and Melbourne. And that is a nice 4, but are we rating into the next 2 games more than the last 2? Now, again, Sharks may be a very easy team to score against because the way they've been playing, they haven't been great lately. But we know his capability. We know what he can do. He's in the centers this week, and I feel like I can't say to people, don't do it. If you have a lot of trades, I would say do it. If you didn't have a lot of trades, and I'm talking about having like 7 left, 6 left, I wouldn't do it. You're going to get caught out. There's so many other things that could go wrong this season. I think you're just trying to chase these next 2 rounds and his points. And I also think his price tag is a bit heavy. Not to say he shouldn't go over, 63 points or 65, 70. We know he can easily do that. But we really want to aim and look at how are we going to get Lomax? How are we going to get Holmes if you don't already have them in the future? For me, I only have 3 of those 5. So I really want to focus on trying to get Lomax and Holmes in next because I have the other 3, then go from there. What are my top... I will answer this question now because we were just finishing 5/8 dilemma, but let me finish the center wing talk first. Lehigh Hopewadi, $619,500, 147 break even. We'll get to those questions, sorry guys, just after we do the full position analysis. Now, if you did already go Lehigh, sit tight. He could have an absolutely huge day against South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I don't mind it whatsoever. Now, don't be scared of this 147 break even. He could literally clear that this game. I'm not saying he will. He could. Now, the thing about Lehigh Hopewadi is I think a lot of people wanted to see a bit more from his Supercoach score last week, where we were kind of like, oh, this could be super crazy. I was kind of getting FOMO on it myself. I didn't go there, but it is what it is. But now he's in the line of losing a lot of money. I still think you hold him, you take his score, and then maybe move him in round 19. Now, why do you move him in round 19? Well, they have the bye in round 19 coming into Melbourne in 20, which is obviously Melbourne having their full strength side back, and that's an away game. Coming into the Bulldogs away, coming into the Sydney Roosters at home. Then Canberra. I think this is going to be a very, very tough play for any of the Manly players and even someone like Garrick on the wing and Turbo. And I'll tell you what, this lines up with a huge pod play I have in round 20 for the Manly Sea Eagles. Someone who I want to take out and bring in, and we'll get to that shortly. But I think if you own him, look, if you feel like, nah, I'm done with it, I don't want to lose money, I understand it, but I think you definitely hold for this Souths game. Souths are leaking a lot of points, and we know what Lehigh Hopewadi can do. Moving on to the fullbacks. Now, if you're also wondering why I'm not going into like cheapies, we're going to get into the trade targets after this and the biggest trade-ins of the week and talk about it there. Fullbacks. We have your three top fullbacks at the moment, and I think there's no doubt about this. It's Tedesco, Drinkwater, and Pappenhausen. These guys, I'm going to say something, and it's haunted me this whole season, but for some reason this season I decided not any point this season to have Drinkwater. And it's killing me. And I'll learn from it this season, and next season I will adapt. However, at the moment I have Tedesco, I have Pappenhausen, and I have Trbojevic. There's one fullback I think we need to talk about that could be an absolutely massive play coming into this period. Not only does he align with the Manly tough draw coming up, hence why I have Turbo, but he's a great fullback. Has two great recent scores, and his name is Dylan Edwards. Now, you might laugh and go, he's had a bit of an average season, blah, 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 but 28 break even. I think, is it a negative? No, I think it's just 28 break even. $647,600. If I can line you up and try and get you guys to do this with me, I'll love you forever. Souths, West Tigers, Gold Coast, Newcastle, coming off 102 and 88 point game in the last two games. The draw that Penrith have is really, 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 really nice. I think he's going to be of Origin 3 form. Obviously, we don't know what could happen in Origin 3, but those games coming up, Para, Souths, they have the bye in 18, obviously. Para, Souths, West Tigers, Gold Coast, Newcastle. Then they come into Melbourne, Canberra, Bulldogs, St. George. And I think, depending on how they are playing, this is when you can hold or keep him. Now, you could hold or get rid of him. And this is a nice player where you could move to, let me just endorse you on something else. So you go to Dylan Edwards in round 20. If he backs up for 19, they verse Parramatta. So you get him in at round 19. Then in round 24, you could possibly go to Latrell Mitchell. Am I sounding crazy, or are you loving it? $644,800, 38 break even, has the round 19 bye, which we're not concerned about, but versus the Penrith Panthers, has the round 19 bye, Penrith Panthers, Sharks, Broncos, and Gold Coast, right? But let's talk about this Dylan Edwards to Mitchell play, if we ever needed to do it. After that, he comes into Gold Coast, Para, St. George by Roosters. And we know what that Roosters game is like. It's a rivalry. It's a big game. There's a little play that you could do there where if you are a turbo holder or just another holder, you can go round 20 or round 19 into Edwards if he does back up. Enjoy that ride. Then go into Mitchell, go back into Drinky, or go back into someone. I think this is a really, really cool play that not a lot of people have seen, and I think it could work out really well. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Unless Drinky's just performing at this rate that I'm like, I have to get him in, I'm going to be going turbo to Dylan Edwards, and it will be a massive pod play for me where I can try and get some points back and be ahead of the competition. Now, selections-wise, have a guess in the chat how many % you think Dylan Edwards is, because I think you're not going to guess it. It's absolutely absurd. 2%. This guy is 2% owned. Sounds like a luxury trade, but any trades are a luxury for me. So he's owned under 3% of the competition. It's absurd. Obviously, we're in Origin period, so it makes sense. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to this play. Now, that is your full position analysis for NRL Supercoach for round 18. I hope I served you a huge amount of knowledge there. Now, we are going to talk about the biggest trade-ins at the moment. Number one, 10,260 trades. Marky Mark. Now, if you're wondering why I'm calling him Marky Mark, it's because I can't pronounce the last name. So let me be. Now, we've spoke about Marky Mark in the CT Dubs category, but number two, Jed Stewart at 8,870 trades. Now, I like the Jed Stewart trade. The only issue I have with it is that Canberra have the bye next week, and that eats into my round 19 where I really need and I'm struggling to have players. So I can't go that route. Now, the only reason you're going this route again is a money move, but I think there's someone that could potentially be better, which my chat helped me see the other week. And he's in my trades at the moment, but we'll get to that when he comes up because he is one of the most traded in. The next is Jerome Hughes. So still people are flocking to Jerome Hughes. 8,199 trades. Absolutely massive. I think it's warranted. I think also people are like, oh my God, Jerome Hughes just scored 113 points. Get to him now. But Melbourne with their draw, they have North Queensland, Newcastle, Manly, Sydney Roosters, Para, Broncos. Really, really nice. So this is why we're going Hughes. Now, on top of that, they obviously have some origin outs. He's going to be dominant on the ball. Eli Katoa, that's going to be lovely to see. Which type of North Queensland team turn up? Because last time North Queensland didn't have their origin players in. It was an abysmal performance, and I'm a North Queensland fan, so I can talk about them like that. But that is a huge trade-in. I think people are finally going to him. Jacob Preston, another huge play against the Broncos, who have been in form but still have been leaking some points. This is a very interesting play because Jacob Preston still has the 90 break even to him, but I also think his base is so good and that he's such a good player that he warrants that. I'm also thinking, is he really that important now to be a must trade in? I know that's crazy to say, but a 90 break even on your head, I think reading into the try that he had last week, people were like, oh my God, that's a really nice score for a 2RF. I'm really liking the thought of the Beau Fermor play where you have the CTW sort of coverage and the Britain Nikora play. That's also enticing me to actually hold 1 to 2 weeks and wait for these people to come up, hold a bit back on the trades because I only have 12 trades left, and go from there. Now, number 5 in our trade-ins is James Tedesco. 5,464 trades. My captaincy pick of this week, absolutely huge. A warranted trade, nothing much to speak there. We spoke about KO Weeks. He comes in at 4,559 trades. Eli Katoa comes in at the 7th most traded in with 4,316. Actually surprising that not many, I know a lot of people owned him, but geez, I didn't expect him to be brought in that much. Then Scott Drinkwater, people are still flocking towards Drinkwater, and that's warranted. In the last game against Melbourne, he had, I think, about 100 points, so people are hoping for that again. 4,214 trades there, and this is where we talk about the next trade. Kane Bradley, CTW 2RF. Why can't I read that price tag? I don't know. It is $232,600 with a -2 break even. So we have the injury to Suat Fa'alogo, and that is estimated to be about 8 to 10 weeks. Joe Chan comes in at the centers. So even with Xavier Coates coming back, even if Warbrick comes back in time, they're saying that he'll still be sort of brought in through the cup system. So eased back in. I think this is a really nice 3 to 4 week play where I have the duality of 2RF and CTW. And he also plays round 18 and 19, which is absolutely huge. So he's going to cover and help you in the period where we don't know how many Origin players, if any, will back up in round 19. The next biggest traded in is Ezra Mann, 3,363. I find that a super weird trade, to be honest with you, but people must be in dire straits with Metcalf. Because they are up against the Bulldogs, and maybe in the long run, it does work out. You know what? One thing I've realized in Supercoach is that we read into the one or two games a lot and don't look at the bigger picture. Like a lot of people might go, there's no way I'm going Ezra Mann. He's versing the Bulldogs this week. But sometimes people just trade, you just got to trade them in and just have them into your system and into your team, forget about them, and they'll regain the points. Or he could actually have a blinder against the Bulldogs, and everything I've just said has been false. They're your top 10 traded in players. Now, a lot of people obviously moving Metcalf. There's 2,119 trades there. People are moving out Nathan Lawson. The interesting one for me is a lot of people are going Nicholas Hines to Jerome Hughes, which is understandable. But I just think with this Sharks draw that's coming, he could be really, really nice for them. And maybe you could wait on getting Cleary after the Melbourne Bulldogs game and then go from like Hines, or something could happen in between that forces your hand to go Jerome Hughes to then go, obviously, Hines or something like that, or Cleary, etc. So everything in the trades this week is just basically Metcalf out. And obviously the biggest one that we need to talk about is Tino. I've touched on that in the 2RF analysis. A lot of people going Tino to Jacob Preston, which is really, really, really interesting. I think if you have the luxury to do that trade, sure. But there is a point where Tino could bite us in the backside. And it could hurt me because at the moment he's in my trades and I've traded him out. But their run home comes into Broncos, West Tigers, New Zealand, Penrith Souths, Sharks, New Zealand, Dolphins, West Tigers. So it's not that hard of a draw, and he could relish in that. So I'm still scared in doing that. We'll see where I land in that, however. We'll get to some questions here. But that is your full position analysis, the trades of the week. My vice captaincy and captaincy pick, however, will be Pappenhausen into the captaincy of Tedesco. I'm not going to read too much into it. That is my pick. If you have any questions right now, guys, put them right below. We'll get to them. SLM had a question saying, what's your top 3 Metcalf replacements, not including Munster and Campbell? Wow, that is a interesting question. For me personally, if I had to go to a 5/8 replacement, number one at the moment, if you want them to play this week, I think is Ezra Mann. I then also think I personally wouldn't go the Kyo Weeks route. That's just me. I get like this feeling and I'm like, no, it doesn't feel right to me. I don't think you can go Purdue because the break even is enormously high and I don't trust North Queensland. Nikorima has a hamstring injury and I don't think Ethan Strange could be a play anyway. Although, you know what? He's been doing fantastic this season. He's total points of 924. He's the top. He's the third ranked highest scorer in the 5/8 position. It's really, really crazy to say that. I also think if you can hold on that position, call me crazy, but I don't mind a little play on Brimson. Now, I'm not saying he's my top 3, but boy, it's very, very interesting. I don't mind Adam Dewey still because he's been doing and putting up some great points. And West Tigers have been performing horribly and he's still putting out those type of points. But to be honest with you, my number one pick would just have to be Ezra Mann on that. There's nothing much else there. I wonder also how Blaze could go for the Penrith Panthers coming with their nice draw, but that's a bit far ahead. But for me, Ezra Mann, I'm just going to go Ezra Mann and say that. Is Payne Haas a must, Swish? Yes, definitely. I think he's a definite must. At the moment, I've actually held him for some crazy reason. I've had injuries galore and it's just popped into the realm where I've had to hold him, and I've been very, very lucky in holding him. He sits at 727,000 with the break even of 92. Last week, he gets an unfortunate 45. He comes into the Bulldogs. So he's going to have your origin, and then he might not back up. Then he comes into a bye. So where you can look at buying him if you don't have him is round 21 against Parramatta. Then they verse South, Melbourne Dolphins, Newcastle, North Queensland, then Melbourne. So if you don't have him, I would say that round 21 is where you're looking at grabbing him. But yes, he is a definite must-have. Do you think I should trade out Pappenhausen or Tedesco, given I already have Latrell and Drinkwater? Shouldn't you trade out Latrell for Tedesco, Ryan? I think that would be... Do you think I should trade out Pap for Tedesco? No, you should be trading out Latrell for Tedesco. That's definitely a play. Yeah, so that, Dearden, I think with origin duties and the way North Queensland performing, no. Brimson to Marky Mark. Oh, gosh. It depends how much you believe in Marky Mark as being a season keeper. You know, we've still got about 10 rounds left. It's insane to think. Do you see Marky Mark being the guy that's going to be like, oh my God, he was the reason that I actually went close and nearly won or won SC? Look, if he is, good on him. There's been some games where I've watched the whole games where he's been on like 33 Supercoach points. There's 10 minutes left in the game and he snags a late try and it's like, whoa, got lucky there. It's kind of like a junky moment. Even I think it was last week or the week before where he got that try from Hugo Savala right at the end. Just little things like that. It's just, yeah, he is a very good player though. People must have money trading to Lawson. Surely you keep him as enough. There's people out there trading him to Bradley. I think people are just wanting the extra number, Ange, to be honest with you. They're just really wanting someone who's going to play 18 and 19. And it also depends. If someone's got 15 trades left, I think it's warranted for them to do that. But if someone has like 8 or 7 trades, I wouldn't be doing a switch over from enough to someone who's basically basement price. Yeah, I think you're right. What about trading Dearden in the next 2 weeks? No, I don't believe in that. I just do not believe in North Queensland. I mean, we can look at them a bit closer here, but let's say you get Dearden in round 20, Dolphins away, St. George, which is fine. Then they have Sharks away, Para away, Newcastle, West Tigers, Broncos, then a bye. Look, it's not too bad. I just think you want Munster and Campbell. That's all. Is Grant or Watson the best hooker option? I went over this in my hooker analysis. You must not have been here, but I think Watson is the much better play if you can hold out until then, due to Harry Grant probably being rested towards the end. But I think Watson also has a very nice output this season. Brimson's the same though. True. Exactly right. I think if you can hold on, in all honesty, Ange, you'd be much better going Brimson to one of the 5 CT dubs we talked about. So the Herbie, Carraz, Holmes, Garrick, or Lomax. I think that's a much better play. Pardon me. Do you reckon Burden was replaced as 18th man by Carraz because Gus Gould kept whinging about not having Burden available for the Dogs and stuffing up our SC teams in the process? No, just me. Just you. But it's still a wild decision not to have a player that has a utility tag on top of his head where he can do a multitude of things rather than Carraz. But I kind of like the Carraz getting picked because I was set up for this round 18-19 period. So I know it's mostly going to hurt people more than me. So yeah. That is it for your podcast with the Rage Traders NRL Supercoach live in action for round 18, a full position analysis. We've looked at everything, your trade-ins, the best targets you should be looking at on your run home. Once again, please give it a thumbs up, give it the 5-star review. Come on over to the YouTube at The Rage Traders. Give us a subscribe here. Tune in whenever I'm live. Would love to have you along. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you have enjoyed this first ever podcast recorded from me, myself, Wolf, The Rage Traders. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. We did it. We did it. First ever podcast. Snappy, snappy, snappy. Snappy, snoopy. Did you like that? Was that good? Was that a great podcast? Gosh, my throat though, because I've got the cold, is going at it. My wife's mostly messaged me too. I was recording a video. Tupolotu to Marky Mark. It depends who your other centers are. I'm personally not going Marky Mark just because the amount of trades I have left. And I really want to get like Holmes, Lomax, well, maybe not Holmes, but I definitely want Lomax. And I'm actually kind of scared of Garrick for that period they have, the Eagles. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting watch. But I don't know, man. Looking at the Roosters draw, West Tigers and St. George is bloody nice, isn't it? But then, like, hypothetically, if Marky Mark only gets a 50 in one of these games against West Tigers and St. George, I feel like that's a bit average. But if he goes like 80, 90, I'll feel pretty bad. But they have Sharks, Melbourne, Manly, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Para, Melbourne, South. It's a bit up and down. It's a bit scary. But he is a great player. He is super coach relevant sometimes. Your setup, Garrick, Lomax, Holmes, Kiraz, Herbie, Brinson. Is that what you have now? Please don't tell me you have that already. God help me if you do. What is your 2RF and FRF looking at? Oh my God. I hate you. That's crazy. Wow. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it right there. Thank you so much for supporting the channel as always. Thank you for supporting just by being here in the live chat. I really appreciate you guys. FRF is AFB, Tapane, May, and Haas. Oh, we have the same FRF. You've copied me, you swine. I'm 1545 and mine isn't that good. Guys, how are you such high ranked and already so far ahead of me? I've got no hope this season. If I can stay under 5K in my second Supercoach season, I'll be like, that's a win. That's good. Under 5K is my goal. I don't want to go past that. But we'll see how we go. Herbie, Kiraz, Lomax, Garrick, Markey, Karapani, Jed. Herbie, Kiraz, how do you guys already have... What is your 2RF looking like? I don't want to know. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up. As always, give it a nice little thumbs up, like, subscribe. You know what to do. And I'll see you on the next one. All right, peeps? Take care of yourself. I hope you enjoyed the video. A lot of information. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Much love. Nothing but green arrows this week. Chee.